Golden light slanted through the arrow loop of Maegor's holdfast, catching dust motes that spun like lazy fireflies above the lion-embroidered sheets. Cersei Lannister lay half-reclined on a mound of pillows, her green eyes fixed upon a raven-black strand of hair resting against her pale wrist. The strand was not hers. She twirled it between thumb and forefinger, thinking of storms and salt and beds that smelled of iron and pine tar, thinking of Euron. A faint breeze stirred the velvet drapes. It brought with it the scents of the city, roses from the gardens of the Red Keep, baked bread from the Street of Flour, the sharper tang of tallow smoke rising from the Tanner's Bend. Beneath it all lingered the ocean's breath, ever present in King's Landing now that the Iron Fleet sat swollen with plunder at Blackwater Bay. She pressed a palm to the slight mound between her hips. 7 when the witch had promised 3. Joffrey's ghost still haunted her nights, shrieking and purple. Tommen's soft mewling echoed in corridors she could not find awake. Myrcella's amber smile broke her heart anew each dawn. The witch's prophecy had been iron, yet here she was, its rust-flecked edges bending beneath the weight of her will, or perhaps beneath the caprice of whatever gods had dared to meddle with a lioness. Footsteps whispered outside the chamber. A page boy, thin as an arrow shaft, poked his head through the door, cheeks flushed from the climb. "The Lord Hand has returned, Your Grace." Cersei's lips curved. Lord Hand. The title fit Euron Greyjoy like chains fit a kraken, impossibly and only for a time. She dismissed the boy with a flick of her fingers, then rose. The embroidered lion shifted across her nightgown as she crossed to the mirror. No golden hair today. She had washed the blood of battle from Euron's locks herself last night, and still the scent of brine clung to her skin. Her cheeks glowed high with color that owed nothing to powder. Her eyes burned bright as wildfire. She bared her teeth, white, flawless, and for a breath saw a great cat, belly swollen with future cubs, poised to pounce upon the realm. A rap came at the door, no timid page's tap but a pirate's tattoo. 3 hard knocks, a pause, then 2 more. She bid him enter. Euron Greyjoy strode inside like a storm wearing boots. Salt crusted the shoulders of his sable cloak. Rubies winked in the torchlight at his collar. One eye, black and bottomless, devoured her from across the room. The other, pale as moonstone, glittered with unspoken jests. In his gloved hand he clutched a leather satchel. "My lioness," he said, voice low and mirthful. "I fetched you a bauble." Cersei smoothed the silk over her stomach, though he could not yet see the change. "Another crown, perhaps? I have quite enough of those." "Not a crown." He set the satchel down, opened the drawstrings, and withdrew something that shone whitely in the firelight. A polished skull no larger than an apple. Tiny horns curved from its brow. Eyeholes yawned like black pits. "A dragon?" she breathed, stepping closer. "A whelp," he confirmed. "Found in the smoking ruins of Mantares. Burned itself in its own flame, so the tales say. I thought it fitting." He placed the miniature skull in her hands. "For our child." She traced the smooth bone with reverent fingers. The dragonling's jaw sat ajar, as though gasping its last ember of breath. Somewhere deep within her belly, the babe shifted. The movement was nothing more than a ripple, yet it stole her breath. "Our child," she echoed. "Does the realm know?" "Men whisper." Euron's grin widened. "They say the queen has taken the sea itself to bed and carries its bastard tied in her womb." "Not a bastard," she said sharply. "Legitimized by your coronation as Lord Protector and mine as queen. Let them choke on words." He shrugged, unfastening his cloak. Scars forked across the brown landscape of his chest, relics of hooks and claws and blades. "We give them salt and flame, steel and blood. Prophecy be damned." Prophecy. The word thickened the air between them. Maggie the frog's smoky hut. The taste of blood. Gold shall be their crowns and gold their shrouds. Yet here she stood, unshrouded, crowned thrice over, alive. "Jaime is near," Euron murmured, as if reading her heart. "I saw his horsemen skulking along the Rose Road 2 nights past." Cersei's breath hitched. He means to take me from you. He means to take what he thinks is his. Euron's lips brushed her ear, leaving damp heat. Will you have me end him? No, she said, though part of her wanted exactly that. He is my twin, my other half. You have another half growing inside you now. He placed a palm atop her hand, atop her belly. One who will know black waves and red banners and the taste of thunder. A chill rippled from the crown of her head to her soles. A kraken lion, she whispered, or lion kraken. Either way, he said, the world will hear its roar. Dawn found King's Landing restless. Oxen groaned under wagons loaded with barrels of pitch for the city walls. Keening gulls followed fisherboats upriver, plucking entrails from brown water. In the great September, what few septons remained alive sang dirges to gods who seemed to have abandoned the city. On the street of silk, painted whores lit candles at their windows, an invitation to soldiers returning from the night's revels. Within the small council chamber, Grand Maester Pycelle's replacement, rosy-cheeked Maester Warwick, fidgeted with scrolls, while Qyburn stood serene as a corpse tree, eyes glassy and unreadable. Ser Gregor Clegane loomed at the door, wrapped in white armor, his great sword lazy at his side like a sleepwalker's limb. The Iron Throne hovered above them all, empty for now, yet omnipresent. Lord Hand Euron Greyjoy made no bow when he entered. He flung a salt-damp cloak across the nearest chair, leaned forward on scarred fists, and regarded the council as a wolf regards tethered goats. "Reports," he barked. Qyburn inclined his silver head. "The lords of the Reach grumble, my lord. They say the harvest tithes demanded for the royal storerooms are too steep. Several granaries at Highgarden have been burned. By whom? Mutinous small folk, it is said.
Euron Tiakled.
Let them starve. The sea provides for those who keep faith." Maester Warwick cleared his throat. "Your grace, winter deepens. A hungry realm breeds rebellion. Might I suggest leniency? Suggest what you like," Euron said. "I have scoured 1,000 peoples from 1,000 coasts. Rebellion tastes the same everywhere. Smoke and iron in the teeth." Cersei entered then, robed in crimson samite, golden hair tumbling loose about her shoulders. A hush followed her like shadow. She took her place at Euron's right, hands folded against her midriff. "My queen," Warwick said, rising. "We were discussing provisions." "Discuss swifter," she replied, settling. "The babe quickens and I tire of petty worries." The maester blinked, gaze flitting to the swell below her bosom. He bowed once more and sat. "Send word to Old Town," Cersei continued. "The high towers will supply what we require, or they will discover how tall a tower may truly be raised, constructed from their own bones." Warwick swallowed. "Yes, your grace." "And the north?" she asked. Qyburn produced a parchment. "A raven from Winterfell arrived yestereve. Queen Sansa writes that the snows are impassable beyond the neck. She cannot ride south, but she offers congratulations on your impending." "Spare me," Cersei hissed. She had not forgotten Sansa Stark's flight, nor the songs sung of her. "The wolf girl waits for winter to devour us all, hoping the snows will bury my child before it draws breath." She curled a fist. "We will return the courtesy. Send the Iron Fleet to White Harbor. Let them see how well their ships fare when the tide turns black with Kraken blood." Euron's eye gleamed. "As my queen commands." "Your queen commands much more," she murmured so only he heard. Her fingers grazed the inside of his wrist, an unspoken promise for later. Jaime Lannister rode hard under a bruised sky. The wind off the Blackwater stank of rot and wet ash, King's Landing's perfume these days. He wore no cloak, no sigil beyond the lion embossed on his breastplate, yet travelers along the Rose Road recognized him all the same, bowing heads or turning faces away. Kingslayer, their unreadable eyes said. Oathbreaker. Beside him, the cell's word Bronn hummed a bawdy tune, his hood pulled low against mizzling rain. "You're brooding again," he observed. "Been brooding since we passed the Mander. My sister is in danger." "Your sister's always in danger," Bronn said. "She likes it that way." Jaime did not argue. He thought of Cersei's letter, the spidery script announcing her marriage to Euron Greyjoy, offering him clemency if he bent the knee. A lion does not kneel. Yet here he was, galloping to her side once more, a moth to wildfire. "It is not merely Cersei," he said. His gloved right hand tightened around the reins. "There is a child." Bronn whistled. "The witch's prophecy. Didn't Maggie say 3? Prophecies are lies wrapped in truth," Jaime muttered. "If she has a 7th, perhaps the curse is broken. Perhaps it's Kinslayer's folly you're riding toward." Bronn cut in. "You mean to kidnap your sister, kill your brother-in-law, and raise her bastard yourself? Sounds like the stuff of page-turners, but not of good sense." Jaime spurred his horse. Rain sheeted off his helm. "She is no one's bastard. She is mine." Bronn did not ask how a child sired by Euron could be claimed by Jaime Lannister. Some answers were carved too deeply into scars to need voicing. Instead, the cell's word fell silent, lips quirking in a half-smile that might have been admiration, might have been amusement, or might have been sorrow for a doomed friend. Ahead, King's Landing's walls loomed, patched by hurried masons. The stones blackened where dragonfire once licked. Above the battlements snapped banners of red and gold twisted with black and azure. Lion and kraken entwined. "Home sweet home," Bronn muttered. Within the Tower of the Hand, Qyburn's laboratory pulsed with dim red light. Copper alembics gurgled. Flayed rats twitched upon silver platters. In a corner, the mountain that rides stood motionless, helm fused to neck, gauntlets fused to sword hilt. Cersei watched as Qyburn held a green glass vial to the candle flame. "The tincture is ready, Your Grace. Will it strengthen me?" she asked, palm resting atop her womb. "It will strengthen the babe," he corrected. Dragonbone shavings steeped in mandrake and the blood of a kraken. A union of sky and sea, fire and salt. "Drink thrice daily." She took the vial. The liquid within shimmered like wildfire, flecked with black motes. It burned as she swallowed, filling her throat with copper heat that slid into her belly and coiled there like a serpent. "Is there risk?" she asked, voice hoarse. Qyburn's smile was patient. "With power comes risk. Yet I believe the child will be singular." "Singular," she echoed, imagining a babe born with sea-green eyes and black curls. A roar like a storm, wielding a crown in one fist and a sword in the other. The future sharpened before her like a blade drawn from scabbard. Footsteps, swift, armored, approached. Ser Sandor Clegane's brother raised his helm. A rasping breath issued through slitted mouthplate. Cersei sensed fear outside. The guards did not meet the mountain's gaze. The door swung inward. Jaime stood upon the threshold, rain-drenched, eyes wild. Cersei, her heart hammered. One brother's entrance had once filled her with relief. Now his presence felt like a ghost intruding upon a new life. She closed her fingers around the dragon skull vial, hiding it within her sleeve. "Leave us," she told Qyburn. He glided away, robes whispering. Jaime stepped inside only after Qyburn vanished, shutting the door. The mountain shifted to block his path, but Cersei waved the giant aside. Ser Gregor retreated to shadows. "You came," she said. "How could I not?" Jaime's golden beard was flecked with gray, his eyes weary. "You are with child." "I am." She lifted her chin. "Not yours." His lips twisted. "Yet you call it a lion." "It will be lion and kraken both." Her voice steadied into steel. "A house reborn." "Reborn?" Jaime's voice cracked. "Cersei, the realm bleeds. You've yoked yourself to a madman. Madmen are useful in mad times. I have come to take you away," he said simply. "For the sake of our child." "Our child?" Her laughter was soft, sorrowful. "Oh, Jaime, that part of us is dead. Buried with Joffrey and Tommen and Myrcella. It need not be." Jaime's left hand, flesh, reached for her. "Ride north with me. We will find peace." "Peace?" she whispered. "I was born for war." The door banged open behind Jaime. Euron strolled in, sea cloak swirling. When he saw Jaime, joy lit his face. "Brother of the Queen," he crowed. "Come to bless our union?" Jaime's sword flashed free. "I come to end it." Euron laughed, unsheathing his own cutlass in one liquid motion. "Then dance with me, Kingslayer." Cersei stepped back, pulse thundering in her throat. A duel here, amidst Qyburn's flasks and secrets, no. Too perilous. She raised a hand. Enough! Neither man heeded her. The world narrowed to clashing steel, snarled curses, the ring of metal on stone. Jaime fought with desperate economy, parrying Euron's flamboyant arcs. Sparks flew. A jug of green liquid toppled and shattered, spattering acid that hissed against a column. Ser Gregor lumbered forward, blade half-drawn. Cersei halted him with a shout. She could not risk the mountain-crushing Jaime, yet she could not let Euron die either. Her fists clenched so tight her nails drew blood. The duel spilled into the hall, boots skidding on wet marble. Guards shouted. Servants scurried like mice. Torchlight danced on steel. Jaime's cloak snagged on a brazen sconce. Euron's cutlass sliced the fastening, and the blood-red wool fell away.
Eld, Euron panted.
"Never," Jaime growled. A feint, a slash, the clatter of sword against armor. Then Euron's backhand blow slammed Jaime's blade aside. His dagger punched into Jaime's side above the hip. Golden armor buckled. Jaime staggered, eyes wide, breath a harsh rattle. Cersei screamed. Euron caught Jaime as he fell, holding him upright a moment. "Hear that? Your sister loves me." He twisted the dagger. Jaime gasped, crimson frothing his lips. Then Euron let him drop to the floor like a gutted stag. Silence fell, broken only by Jaime's uneven breaths and the pop of torches. Cersei knelt beside her twin. Blood pooled, dark and slick, at her knees. Jaime's eyes flicked to her belly, then to her face. His hand, left, steel, reached trembling to rest upon the swell. "Save," he whispered. "Sleep," she told him, tears burning. Euron wiped his blade on Jaime's cloak and sheathed it. "Shall I finish?" "No," Cersei's voice cracked like ice. "Call Qyburn. I would not have him die today." "As you wish." Euron bowed, but his grin cut like a blade. He strode away, victory in his step. Jaime's eyelids fluttered. "Cersei, I tried." "Hush." She pressed her lips to his brow. "I know." As she kissed him, the babe moved within her, a slow turning of tide against shore. She vowed then, silent and cold, that this child would not meet the fate of its siblings, nor the fate of any prophecy. She would tear the world to shreds before she allowed that. Night draped the city in black velvet. From her balcony, Cersei watched the Iron Fleet's bonfires burn upon the bay, an offering to the drowned god, though here in King's Landing they roasted a dozen fat boars and laughed at the timid bells of the great September music drifted on the wind. Reedy pipes, deep drums, the ululating cries of drunk men. Behind her, Jaime slept under milk of the poppy's fog, Qyburn's leeches drinking around his wound. She had spared him. An act of mercy, or perhaps of vanity, for who else knew her so well? Yet she felt the bond between them fraying, thread by shining thread, replaced by another knot tugging within her womb, knotted to Euron's blood. She sipped Qyburn's latest draft. It tasted of salt and copper, of deep water where light never reached. The babe kicked, harder now, impatient, and she smiled into the dark. Beyond the Red Keep's walls, winter crept south. Snow would fall soon, muting the world. Yet here, in the heart of fire and iron, a storm brewed louder than any wind off the shivering sea. A storm seated in her belly. Let the witch mutter in her grave. Let the Starks gnaw their frozen bones. Let tyrants and usurpers rise and fall. Her cub would be born beneath a sky split by lightning and crowned in blood. A roar to shake prophecies from their pedestals. A roar to wake dragons, real or in rumor. A roar to drown all who stood against her. She pressed both hands across her stomach, breath misting in the cold. "Soon," she told the child, voice a promise and a threat. "Very soon. Far across the sea, in a room of black stone lit by a single candle, a red woman watched flames dance in a brass bowl. Shapes flitted in the fire. A kraken-headed lion, a woman with hair of gold, a babe split by shadow and salt. The priestess trembled. "The night gathers," she whispered to the fire, "and the mother of storms comes with it." The candle guttered, the flame hissed, and the world spun on toward dawn. Approximately 12,700 characters. Due to platform limits, I'll continue the narrative in the next installment whenever you prompt continue. We'll build steadily toward the full 60,000 character saga, unfolding the intrigue, war, and prophecy at the measured pace you requested. Euron Greyjoy's laughter echoed through Maegor's holdfast long after the torches guttered low. It filtered into corridors like brine-laden fog, coiling round pillars of redstone and setting the keep's shadows quivering. Rain drummed against arrow slits. Thunder cracked, rattling stained glass panes depicting the Seven. Somewhere in the depths, rats squealed where Qyburn's orderlies cornered them for experiments. Yet amid the cacophony, Jaime Lannister's breathing was a metronome. Slow, ragged, stubborn. Cersei sat at his bedside, the chamber otherwise unlit save for a single beeswax candle. The flame cast wavering gold across her face, sharpening the fierce lines sheathed beneath courtly grace. Jaime dozed, lids fluttering. Cloth bandages swaddled his side, already patched where seepage had darkened them copper. His stump rested across his chest, metal hand discarded on the table like a broken gauntlet. She dipped a linen square into warm milk of the poppy and brushed sweat from his brow. His wincing stirred memories. Twin babes playing beneath Casterly Rock's lion banners, daring each other to climb higher, leap farther, dream bigger. Those days had smelled of lilac and peach and crisp salt from Lannisport's distant docks. She wondered when that scent had changed to ash and bile. Outside, hinges groaned. Qyburn entered, gliding more than walking, robes whispering over mosaic tile. He carried a polished copper cup. "A fresh draught, your grace. The prince must swallow it whole if panacea is to knit his sinews." "He is not a prince," she corrected, though softly. The word stirred ache and longing. "He is my brother." Qyburn inclined his head as though titles were trinkets. "Brother or prince, he bleeds the same. Will you rouse him?" Cersei pressed fingertips to Jaime's cheek. "Wake!" Her whisper was a command she used on dogs and kings alike. Jaime's lashes trembled. Bleary green eyes swam into focus. He saw her first, then Qyburn, then the cup. Resolve flickered behind pain. "Poison." His voice rasped like parchment. "Medicine," she answered. "Swallow." He accepted the cup with his left hand, downed its contents, shuddered.
"Tas like Rotgut."
"Sea slug extract and powdered moonstone," Qyburn said with professional cheer. "A sailor's remedy for mortal stabs. I considered adding widow's blood to quicken clotting, but women with child ought not handle such toxins." The maester's gaze dipped to Cersei's belly. She stiffened. Protective instinct flared bright. "Leave us." Qyburn obeyed, though not before lingering a fraction too long. His eyes were weighscales appraising rare coin. The door closed. The flame bent in the draft. Silence settled, thick as velvet. Jaime studied her face. "You saved me. I spared you," she murmured. "There is a difference." "Why?" "Because I could not bear another shroud," she thought. "Because prophecy haunts me. Because somewhere inside the lioness remains a girl who laid beside you beneath the oak at Casterly Rock and dreamt of endless summers." She spoke none of it. "Rest. You must heal." Jaime's gaze drifted to her midriff, subtle curve beneath silk. His hand, real calloused, rose, halted, fell. "He will kill you the moment it pleases him." "He cannot," she said. "We are bound now, lion and kraken, gold and iron. He needs me, and I need his fleet." "You need nothing but your own strength," he countered, but fatigue clouded his words. "Cast him aside." "You tried," she whispered. "See how you fare." She brushed hair from his forehead. Sleep. Jaime's eyes closed. His breathing deepened. Cersei lingered, watching the rise and fall of his chest until dawn's first gray light melted candle glow. Then she rose, slipping into corridors where shadows still clung. Duty called. A realm cannot wait for sentiment. The throne room brimmed with smells of damp stone and iron oil. Euron lounged on the iron throne as though it were a tavern bench, one knee hooked over a jagged arm, unkempt beard shining with salted grease from a morning roast. Court had not been called, yet sycophants gathered regardless. Reach lords hoping for grain concessions, Riverland's knights begging pardons, a gaggle of Lysine envoys offering sapphires for safe passage. All watched the pirate king with fear-glinting eyes. Cersei descended the crimson-carpeted steps behind the throne, every footfall measured. She wore black velvet today, a compromise between mourning and power. Her abdomen, though yet small, pressed against the fitted bodice. She allowed the fabric no slack, proud of the life within. Euron's grin split wide when he saw her. "The storm at my side," he boomed, voice carrying off hammer-forged walls. "Come, lioness, sit astride your kraken." Mutters rippled. A septa gasped. Cersei smiled serenely. "Stand, my lord, and conduct yourself like a king." "I am no king," he replied, rising nonetheless. "King is too small a word." He kissed her knuckles, mock courtliness, and pivoted to those assembled. "Let it be known. Every ship refusing banners of Black Kraken or Red Lion shall be declared enemy to the crown, and their crews given to the deep." A Lysine envoy bowed. "Your lordships, Lys values commerce." "Lys values coin," Euron corrected, stepping down. He plucked a sapphire from the envoy's neck and bit it. Hard. Blue shards scattered. "Like my fleet." Cersei placed a hand on his forearm. Marble stills raging sea. "Diplomacy, my love." She addressed the envoy. "Lys will supply a convoy of grain to King's Landing, taxed at a rate to be negotiated." The envoy, shaken, agreed with haste. Euron laughed again but yielded. He enjoyed games so long as he believed the rules his own. When business waned, a murmur spread near doors. Iron-born thralls pushed apart gold-inlaid leaves of oak to admit a silent figure robed in damp gray. The newcomer's face hid beneath a hood, yet candlelight revealed crimson silk at the hem, color of priests who worshipped flame. A hiss rose from courtiers. They smelled sorcery. The stranger advanced unchallenged until the mountain's sword blocked way. Torch glow kissed plate, turning him alabaster and hellish. The hood tilted upward. A woman's voice, low, smooth as smoke, spoke Valyrian words Cersei half understood. Fire, salt, shadow. Cersei lifted her chin. "State your purpose." The hood slid back. Flame-red hair cascaded over gray wool. A ruby pendant pulsed at her throat. Eyes old as starlight measured Cersei. "I see light within shadows, your grace, and shadows within light. I come from beyond the narrow sea to offer counsel." Euron swaggered forward. "Counsel?" He sniffed. "Another witch." "I am Kinvara," she said, ignoring him. "High priestess of the Red Temple in Volantis. In my fires I beheld a lioness crowned in night, birthing a storm that rips the world open. I beheld you, and him." Her gaze flicked to Euron. "The storm crow who caws at doom." Euron barked amusement. "Crow, kraken, drown god, red god. Your god's enough to fill a tavern." Kinvara's smile glinted chill. "Taverns burn." Cersei felt heat behind her ribs, as though the ruby at the priestess's throat drew warmth from the air. "Speak plainly, Kinvara." An ancient darkness stirs north of the wall, kindled anew by resurrection and broken vows. It must be met by a flame unquenchable. She gestured to Cersei's stomach. "Your child is that spark." Laughter rattled rafters, Euron's again. "Our babe barely stirs bowels, and you claim it shall save the world? Or doom it?" Kinvara murmured. "Flame shows paths, not choices." Cersei stepped closer, voice soft as a blade unsheathing. "What do you want in return for this prophecy?" "Sanctuary in the capital, a place to stoke my fires, and leave to instruct the child in red wisdom when the time comes. My child learns from no stranger. Instinct roared inside her. Kinvara bowed shallow. Then I shall teach the mother. She raised a hand before protests flared. No fee but trust, your grace. I will not burn your city. Others may. She nodded toward the open sky until all heads turned, dozens of faces and Euron's single black eye, following her gaze. Over Blackwater waters, smoke plumed on the horizon, faint yet certain. A scout raced in breathless. White Harbor burns, your grace. The Iron Fleet flies Kraken banners upon the Mander as well. They sail inland, torching Manderly ships. Euron's grin sharpened. My captains exceed themselves. Cersei's nostrils flared. That had been her order, true but not so soon. The North will answer. Let them, Euron said. Kinvara watched, unreadable. Every action fans fire or shadow. Choose wisely. Cersei dismissed court. The throne room emptied like a spilled cup. Only Euron, Kinvara, and the mountain remained. Let her stay, Euron urged, voice low. A bit of magic never hurt a child. He scratched his beard. Well, perhaps once in Karth, but that was different. Cersei considered. She smelled currents, invisible, prophecy, ambition, war. Then she spoke. The Red Keep contains many chambers. You may have one. Cross me and you'll roast upon your own pyres. Kinvara inclined her head. May the Lord of Light guide your womb, your grace. When she departed, Euron snorted. Soon we'll be overrun by priests. Perhaps the drowned god will drown them. Perhaps, Cersei said, but her mind chased flame-lit corridors. A child of salt and lion blood, prophesied to fight darkness. If the North burned and winter marched, maybe such a champion was needed. And if prophecy threatened her rule, she would bend it or break it as she always had. 2 weeks later, snowflakes drifted onto King's Landing. Ghostly things, timid, melting on rooftops, yet their arrival set tongues wagging. Winter's hand grazed the crownlands at last. Markets bristled with hoarders. City Watch doubled patrols to quell loaf riots. Blackwater Bay's surface wore a glassy skin each dawn, cracked by hulls heading north with grain, or south with refugees. In the Tower of the Hand, Euron hosted Wolfgar Pike and Baelor Blacktide. Captains returned from White Harbor's sack. They sprawled at a long table strewn with maps, goblets sloshing rum. Torchlight danced on charts where Kraken sigils crawled across the bite. Snow water beaded parchment. Our masts blacken their skies, Wolfgar boasted. Manderly fleet rests on the harbor's floor, sunk or captured. We seized 3 fat cogs of wheat, 2 of rye, 100 salt barrels. And the city? Euron asked. Still stands, barricaded. Stubborn wolf bitches hide behind stone. Euron's eye gleamed. They will starve. Meanwhile, we sail south again, raid the arbor, bring back wine. Let lions drink as wolves weep. Baelor laughed. Wine enough to christen your whelp. Cersei stepped from shadow then, surprising them. She wore hunter-green trimmed white fur, a nod to creeping winter. Her eyes glinted. Your queen has further orders. The captains rose, uncertain. Leave White Harbor, yes, but leave spies behind. We need eyes on Manderly and on Queen Sansa. She touched the map. I will know when she rides. Captain Baelor, take Dragonstone. Baelor's brow furrowed. The old Targ stronghold? Abandoned and windswept. Valyrian stone still holds secrets. Cersei's voice cooled. Secure its dungeons. See if old alchemists left wildfire caches. Bring me reports. Euron raised an eyebrow. Planning something? A queen plans many things. She addressed the captains once more. Deliver results quickly. They bowed, leaving. When alone, Euron slouched in his chair, boots upon the map. Clever moves, but will they feed the babe? The babe will eat prophecies for breakfast, she said. He grinned. And dinner. She pressed his boot heel down onto the reach, forcing paper to the table. For dinner, the world. Euron roared delight, seized her waist, kissed the corner of her mouth. Salt and rum flavored his breath. She accepted, measured. His lips skimmed her jaw, then paused at her throat where pulses beat. "I could drown in you. Drown later," she murmured. "Now we must summon the Tyrell pretenders." What Tyrells remain? A distant cousin, Eleanor, now styling herself Lady of Highgarden. She plots with Tarly remnants. Cersei's fingers slid over Euron's wrist. "Fetch me her head." "With pleasure." Euron rose. "A head for my queen, a crown for my child." He exited, cloak flaring like a storm cloud. Moonless night. Kinvara's makeshift sanctum flickered with red gold fire. Cersei sat before the brazier, cloak loosened to vent heat. Kinvara sprinkled powders that hissed into green sparks. "Look," the priestess instructed. Cersei peered. Flames writhed into shapes. A lioness with bleeding paws, a kraken with wings of crowbone, a babe engulfed by swirling gray. "What does it mean?" she asked. "Choices," Kinvara said. "One path births a conqueror bathed in others' blood. Another path births a sacrifice." She flicked more powder. Shapes shifted to an icy wolf breaking beneath a tidal wave of shadow, then to a city crowned with wild green fire consuming itself. "Speak clearer," Cersei demanded. Kinvara's smile was pitying. "Clarity is for day, prophecy is night. Remember, you cannot choose half of destiny. Embrace all or fracture." Cersei's hand covered her belly. "I embrace nothing blindly, yet prophecy seldom asks." The priestess's voice softened. "I have walked many fires. Few mothers who face flames leave unchanged." She lifted the ruby. "May I?" Cersei hesitated, then nodded. Kinvara pressed the gemstone to the curve of Cersei's stomach. Warmth pulsed outward, steady, like a second heartbeat answering the first inside. The babe kicked strong. Tears sprang unbidden to Cersei's eyes. "He is eager," Kinvara whispered. "Or she," Cersei exhaled. "A girl. Shadow hides gender until birth," Kinvara said. "But whatever comes, know the child awakens more than your womb. The world quickens, too." Cersei withdrew. "Leave me." Kinvara bowed, extinguished the brazier. Darkness surged. When the door shut, Cersei remained on the floor, arms encircling her knees. Snowflakes tracked down windows, silent and impersonal. She whispered to the life within, "You will not be pawn to priests, to witches, to krakens or lions or any god. You will be mine." Morning brought ravens. One bore dark news in darker ink. Stannis Baratheon's widow, Lady Celis, had died of fever at Storm's End, leaving the fortress in hands of remaining Florent loyalists. Another raven heralded movement from the Eyrie. Lord Robert Arryn intended a grand chevauchee through the Riverlands to prove manhood. Yet the thinnest parchment chilled her most. A report from Baelor Blacktide off Dragonstone. Beneath the castle's cellars they had found sealed vaults half full of wildfire, enough to shatter half a city. Cersei rolled the scroll, heartbeat staccato. Wildfire had nearly destroyed King's Landing under Aerys, had scorched Stannis' fleet in Blackwater. She could wield it again, this time on her own leash. But against whom? Wolves in the north? Whispers of white walkers made for children's tales. Still, if darkness brewed beyond the wall, she summoned Qyburn. Begin experimenting. Find ways to fling wildfire farther than scorpions, more precise than catapults. Use the hand's resources. Qyburn's eyes gleamed. "I shall design vials carried by crows," he mused aloud, already scrawling. "Perhaps a dragon's skull could serve as mortar." "Whatever you create, ensure it spares the Red Keep," Cersei warned. "And ensure Euron believes these weapons his idea." Qyburn bowed. "As ever, your grace." Jaime's convalescence dragged like iron over cobbles. Days blurred in laudanum haze, dreams of golden hair turning black, of fires rising from beneath the castle swallowing him. When he achieved consciousness for more than an hour, he insisted on walking with a cane carved of weirwood, a gift from Bronn, now captive in a guard tower for punching a lord who insulted Lannisters. Bronn joked that whores would charge extra for a crippled knight. Jaime laughed, bloodless. One afternoon, Jaime approached a training yard where squires fenced beneath cold sun. He leaned on the cane watching steel flicker. Rage simmered. At Euron, at Cersei, at his own weakness. A voice behind startled him. Kingslayer. The mountain loomed, visor reflecting cloudy sky. Jaime swallowed.
Ser Gregor.
The giant stared, unmoving. Qyburn had claimed he obeyed only direct command, yet here he was unbidden. Jaime met blank eyes behind mail. Come to finish me? No answer. The mountain extended a massive gauntlet, offering a tawny helm. Lannister crimson, lions snarling across cheek plates. Confusion chilled Jaime. He accepted. The mountain turned and walked away like statue returning to pedestal. Jaime studied the helm. Inside, a folded scrap of parchment bore 3 words. Lions do not kneel.
No signature.
The handwriting, bold and swift, belonged to Cersei. Emotion blurred vision. For a heartbeat he tasted childhood again. Twin conspirators plotting supper thefts. Perhaps she still loved him, beneath crowns and prophecy. Or perhaps she mocked him, daring him to stand tall again. He straightened. Pain lanced, but he stood. North winds sharpened. White Harbor's walls glittered hoarfrost. Inside, Lord Manderly's sons marched ramparts with torches, eyes scouring sea for kraken sails. Their grandmama, Lady Wyman's widow, had died in the bread riots sparked by famine. Still the city resisted, though quarter rations gnawed morale. Word came of a relief host assembling at Moat Cailin. 5,000 Northmen under Lord Serwyn, 2,000 Vale Knights led by Ser Lyn Corbray seeking valor by winter. Sansa Stark penned letters to every bannerman, promising grain once spring thawed, promising vengeance upon sea-wolves who drowned their harbor. Maester Theomore's ravens winged south carrying her pleas. But in King's Landing ravens were weighed, measured, and sometimes lost. Qyburn selected certain scrolls to vanish. Others flew to Woodvale, Euron's hidden Isle of Skullcairns, where silent sisters disguised as monks copied them for blackmail. Cersei watched the game unfold from balconies, each move a chess piece of blood. She felt the babe turning daily. Harder kicks, restless, as if in rhythm with war drums. She began nightly walks through Maegor's labyrinthine tunnels, counting her heartbeats against echoing steps. In one such tunnel, she encountered Kinvara kneeling before a sconce of sputtering flame. The priestess's shadow danced elongated, merging with Cersei's as she approached. "He grows swiftly," Kinvara said without turning. "It," Cersei corrected. "You still serve my realm?" "I serve light," Kinvara murmured. "Light that now nests in your womb, yet darkness courts it." She held up a blackened feather. Ravens perhaps, charred. A crow without heart. "Beware the father." Cersei snatched the feather. "Speak plainly." Euron Greyjoy carved his eye from his own skull to drink shade of the evening. In that cup he saw horizons beyond mortal ken. He would burn kingdoms for a glimpse of godhood. You believe the babe tethers him to you, but he seeks to tether godhood to himself. Cersei's fingers clenched. "He seeks nothing but power we share. Power shared is seldom equal." She strode past, jaw stiff, yet the feather's brittle shaft pricked her palm all the way back to her chamber. Winter deepened. The first frost-dead beggars appeared on Ironmaker's Way, their bodies carted to flea-bottom pits where pyres burned day and night. Cersei ordered bakery doors unbarred at dawn, distributing stale loaves thrice weekly. She crushed bakers who inflated prices, hung thieves who cut purse strings. Mercy and terror, twin pillars of rule. Still, rumors seeped, that the queen's child bore kraken tentacles, that it was born already and kept in crypts, that Jaime Lannister fathered it, that Tyrion snuck into the Red Keep to steal it. She answered rumors with feasts for the city watch, higher pay for the gold cloaks. Information bought obedience. On the longest night of the year, a comet streaked red across the sky. Kinvara proclaimed it the sword that is not a sword, heralding a hero. Euron toasted his unborn son beneath its glow atop battlements, roaring that the kraken's tentacles would strangle the sky. Cersei drank watered wine, eyes reflecting the firetail. Jaime watched from a window far below, silent. Bronn escaped. Guards found 2 corpses in his cell, skulls caved by a stool leg. A third body, Captain Miros of the City Watch, hung naked from the parapet, coin pouch sewn inside his abdomen. On parchment pinned to the corpse's tongue was a quip. "Oh, you drink? Get me next round." Fury rippled through the castle. Euron doubled patrols, offered bounties. Cersei suspected Bronn would ride north to some mercenary company. Jaime, she knew, would not order his friend's murder. Euron might. She forbade it publicly, citing wasted resources. Privately, she marked Bronn a piece on her board, one that might slay a king or save a queen depending on coin's weight. Slow as snowfall, the moon's full cycles carried Cersei into 8th month. Her gait grew ponderous, but her mind sharper than Flayer's blade. She spent mornings in the solar poring over trade ledgers, Lysine cogs arriving with grain, Tyroshi barges bearing purple dye for banners. Afternoons she stood on battlements inspecting newly installed scorpions designed by Qyburn, lever tension arms flinging Sarah. Mike's spheres filled with wildfire half a league. Kinvara observed each test, chanting Valyrian prayers that flames strike true. Soldiers applauded when spheres burst against cliff faces, emerald infernos roaring sky-high. Euron clapped her back hard enough to thunk ribs, eyes shining child delight. That night he took her in the captain's tower beneath tattered Kraken banners. Pillow talk tasted of salt and copper. Afterwards, while he snored, Cersei studied the scars webbing his chest, glyphs of victory and warning. She traced one shaped like a crescent moon. He moaned in sleep, muttering words in tongues unknown. She felt foreign then, lying beside this man half god, half mad. Storms battered Blackwater. Docklines snapped. 2 grain ships sank against piers. Rats thronged drowned fields. Cersei ordered crews to salvage every bag of wheat, drying kernels in tower ovens. Hunger gnawed. A raven arrived from the Trident. Beric Dondarrion had been seen alive again, fiery-eyed, sword blazing, leading peasant levies against remaining Lannister garrisons. Jaime read the letter with grim wonder. Men who would not die, queens who would not bow, children not yet born shaping wars. He sought Cersei in her gardens. Snow-dusted hedges, rosebuds dyed black. She stood beneath a leafless weirwood transplanted long ago, its bark ghost pale. Red sap bled where deer had gored it. Cersei's hands, folded on her belly, glowed against stark trunk. "Beric lives," Jaime said without greeting. She did not turn. "So does death. What of River Spring? Abandoned. Rivermen rally to Tully banners." He stepped closer. "Cersei, leave this city. Come with me. Far across the sea, we can raise the child in peace." She laughed, soft. "Peace is illusion, brother. Wherever we sail, storms chase. Better storms than wildfire." He gestured to distant towers where smoke curled from chimneys, tinted faintly green. "You craft weapons of madness. Madness defends sanity." She faced him now, eyes shining with fervor akin to the comet's tail. "Our child will inherit a realm forged unbreakable. No Northers, no dragons, no bankers from Bravos will topple this dynasty." "And what of Euron?" "Euron is a wave. Waves break." She let implication hang. Jaime's throat tightened. "Then let me be your sword," he said. Her smile softened, nostalgia mingling sorrow. "Heal first. Then we shall see what sword you are." In White Harbor, cold winds carried plague, greywater cough, wendigo chills. Ironborn launched corpses over walls by catapult. Lord Manderley's maester burned them all, smoke smothering stars. The starving city whispered that the South had abandoned them. Some men carved weirwood leaves into coins, promising gods for bread. When word reached Sansa, she wept in private. Her maester urged caution. Riding winter roads meant certain death. Yet each raven describing children gnawing rawhide gnawed her resolve. She dispatched Glover riders south with sleighs of dried fish and barley, but storms consumed half the party. 2 survivors limped back frostbitten, claiming snows as tall as giants blocked the king's road at Queen's Crown. Above those snows, other eyes watched, eyes blue as icy dawn. But their story belonged to different fires not yet converged. Cersei labored into her 9th month. Pain lanced hips, tightened belly like iron bands. Qyburn mixed drafts. Kinvara sang Valyrian lullabies, voice low ember. Euron forbade all but silent sisters and maesters near her chamber, except Jaime, who insisted on standing watch just beyond. The mountain guarded door. Storms raged 5 nights straight. On the 6th, clouds tore lightning over Blackwater. Thunder rattled castle bones. Cersei's waters broke at midnight. Qyburn's attendants raced to heat water. Kinvara knelt by the bed, ruby blazing. "Breathe with the storm," she instructed. Cersei snarled. Another contraction arced spine to skull. Sweat drenched her despite frosty air. Euron paced outside, clanging sword hilt against armor, demanding velocious birth. Qyburn barred him. Jaime hovered, heart hammering. He recalled another birthing chamber, Myrcella's, when he had held Cersei's hand through dawn. But now she lay beyond locked doors, screaming curses in tongues neither Lannister nor Greyjoy. Hours crawled. Dawn's pallid fingers slid beneath storm clouds. Birds quieted. At last a cry sharper than gull-scree pierced hall. Newborn's wail, shrill and insistent. The door opened. Kinvara emerged, crimson-stained hands cupped around glowing ruby. She regarded Euron first. A son. Euron whooped, turned a circle, arms outstretched. Jaime sagged relief and dread. Kinvara silenced celebration with raised palm. A son born with fate upon him. His eyes, one green, one black. Jaime's stomach clenched. Cersei's eyes green, Euron's black. She had spit prophecy's twist. The babe bore both. "Let me see him," Euron barged inside. Kinvara barred his path again. "Not yet. The mother must rest." The priestess turned to Jaime. "She calls for you." He entered, past the mountain who watched immobile. In the chamber, candlelight flickered on stone. Cersei reclined on rumpled sheets, hair plastered, face pale but triumphant. Bundled in crimson cloth at her breast squirmed the infant, wailing as though offended by cold world. Jaime approached. One tiny eye blinked green, the other ink black. The sight rattled him. "He is perfect," Cersei whispered, voice hoarse. "His name shall be Rhaegar." The name tasted defiant, rewriting histories of love and war. Jaime's breath caught. Of all names. "Why?" "Because songs of the Dragon Prince outlived his bones," she said, rocking the bundle. "They thought him dead, yet his shadow shapes kingdoms still. My son will live, shape, conquer." She fixed Jaime with weary but steeled gaze. "Swear to protect him." Jealousy, love, fear warred in Jaime's chest. Euron's child, half kraken, half lion, destined for categories beyond. Yet blood was blood. He touched the babe's downy cheek. Warmth pulsed vivid. "I swear." Outside, Euron bellowed orders for a feast to shame history. 100 barrels of arbor gold, oxen stuffed with trout and almonds, fireworks stolen from Karth. Bells erupted across the city, echoing down frost-white streets. Small folk looked skyward, some cheering, some cursing. Another royal mouth to feed. Kinvara watched from balcony, eyes reflecting sunrise. Beside her, Qyburn stroked beard, mind already measuring dose of wildfire needed to baptize a prince. And in far-off Winterfell, ravens alighted on snow-caked sill carrying dread. White Harbor had fallen. Sansa read the missive, knuckles whitening. She closed shutters against wind heavy with northern ghosts, turned to Maester Wolkan. "Send word to the Eyrie, the Vale, the Wall. Tell them winter cannot wait. The Lion Kraken has birthed a storm and the north must be ready." She looked northward still, beyond roofs and ramparts, to skies bruised purple. Somewhere out there walked horrors of ice and death. Somewhere south, wildfire crackled. Between flames and frost now stood a child with eyes of green and black, name borrowed from dead prince, cradled in a queen's hunger and a pirate's ambition. The world inhaled. The storm was born. This completes another is almost equal to 400-word installment. Prompt any time to continue weaving the saga onward toward its full length. The Iron Throne's great hall blazed with 300 braziers, their tongues of flame dancing orange and emerald as wildfire lamps joined ordinary torches in riotous celebration. Servants hauled barrels of arbor gold up the aisles, sloshing foamy crowns across rush-strewn floors. Harpists plucked gallant chords while guttural iron-born drummers beat warskins until the cavernous space thrummed like a giant's heart. At the hall's center rose a dais of fresh-sawn oak draped in red velvet. Upon it Cersei reclined against crimson cushions, Rhaegar Lionkraken cradled at her breast. The infant's strange mismatched eyes roved the hall with preternatural focus, as though memorizing every torch and banner for some future reckoning. Cersei felt the heat of the braziers kiss her cheeks, yet she would not retreat. Let the nobles see their queen strong, unbowed, fecund. Let them feel the iron of her will as keenly as the smell of roasting boar that wafted from spit racks lining the hall. Below the dais, Euron paraded between trestle tables, a chalice in one fist, a curved axe in the other. Wine stained his beard, his laugh split rafters. He clapped shoulders, tossed coins to cask makers, kissed silk-clad ladies upon cheeks whether they wished it or not. His black and azure doublet bore a silvery kraken entwined with a golden lion, the new sigil he had commissioned at dawn. Threads of Valyrian steel filaments made the beast shimmer like moonlight on midnight seas. "You see, my pretty lords," he roared, thumping the haft of his axe on the boards so that tankards shuddered. "From this night, the realm feasts not merely for a birth but for an omen. Two eyes, green and black, watch us all. One eye for land, the other for sea. Together they shall spy every traitor skulking in mouse holes from Dorne to Skagos." Polite laughter followed from Reachmen who hated him, from Westerlanders who feared him, from Crownlanders who feared the lack of bread more. Cersei, atop her dais, drank in their unease the way a lioness might savor the tremble of a hind. She felt the babe latch again. The sharp tug anchored her in the moment. Queen, mother, predator. Jaime watched from the steps below, leaning on his weirwood cane. Armor mailed his torso, polished bright enough to mirror flickering greenery of wildfire lamps. He wore no helm. His face lay bare to witness jesters juggle daggers mere paces away. Each clang of iron sent a pulse of pain through his healing side, yet he welcomed it. Pain reminded him he still breathed, still had vows unmet. Bronn had not resurfaced since his brazen escape, but rumors said he traveled north under assumed name, selling sword and wit to whichever lord dared oppose the Iron Fleet. Jaime hoped the sellsword would keep head attached until they met again. He suspected he would need allies outside the castle soon. Kinvara stood near the hall's rear pillars, ruby pendant aglow even against wildfire light. While courtiers toasted the lion kraken, the priestess's lips moved in chants softer than moth wings. Her gaze never wavered from the infant's face. Several septas muttered prayers when they caught her stare, crossing breasts to ward off fire demons. Kinvara answered their fear with a courteous smile that showed no teeth. Shadows of flames crawled up her scarlet sleeves like hungry lizards. Qyburn threaded quietly among guests, gifting small vials of rose-scented essence to nervous ladies, smiling assurances to fretting maesters about the newborn's health. All the while his keen eyes darted across archways, gauging stone thickness, torch placement, guard rotations. He tallied each in secret ledger of skull and bone. As the fifth cask of wine cracked open, Euron bounded back to the dais and crashed to one knee before Cersei. "Wife of storms," he bellowed, "grant me leave to name the feast." She raised one golden brow. "Name it, then." "The Night of Two Eyes," he proclaimed, springing upright, arms thrown to braziers. "For never has a babe looked upon this hall with vision half lion-bold, half kraken deep." Applause erupted, dutiful if not devout. Cersei inclined her head. "So be it, and may those eyes see prosperity the lion alone was denied." A hush flickered. The memory of her 3 dead children was a shadow always crouching behind revelry. Some guests cast glances to gallery balconies where rumors claimed ghost lights wandered. Cersei met those looks with frosted calm until they melted away. She shifted the infant's swaddling so that green eye gleamed beneath torchlight. "Behold Rhaegar of House Lannister Greyjoy," she announced, voice ringing. "Born beneath lightning, destined beneath crowns." Euron whooped again. Harpists bent their tune into something jaunty, and a column of pike reavers slammed palm drums in double time. Cersei felt the hall sway on waves of song and ale, yet within her chest a different tide rose, determination to mold prophecy into throne of her making. 3 nights later the storm ended, and with the clearing of clouds came ravens, black flecks smudging dawn. They perched on the Red Keep's rookery like encrusted jewels, scrolls tied to legs. Messages from the Reach, the Vale, Dorne, bravos. Cersei and Euron convened small council at first light. Jaime attended, armor buckled tight though wounds still pulled at every breath. Ser Adam Marbrand, knighted Lord Commander of the Gold Cloaks after Randall Tarley's death, unfurled the first parchment. From Lady Eleanor Tyrell, styling herself Wardness of the South. He handed it to Cersei. Ink flowed in a green, precise hand. "To Her Grace Cersei of Houses Lannister and Greyjoy, I extend congratulations on the birth of your son. May the Seven bless him. In honor of this joyful event, the Reach offers a gift of 10,000 bushels of grain." Cersei snorted. "Bribe to forestall raiding." Euron seized the scroll, tore it in two, tossed pieces into brazier. "Raid anyway." Cersei did not object. Another raven brought news from Sunspear. Prince Corran Martell offered neutrality in exchange for guarantee that the Iron Fleet would not sail past Cape Wrath into the Summer Sea. Euron laughed until tears salted his beard. "Tell him a kraken respects no coast." But Cersei saw advantage. "Agree. We have no ships to spare so far south this season. It costs us nothing to feign courtesy."
Euron shrugged, capitulating.
Last message bore seal of Vale. Lord Royce wrote that the Little Falcon, Robert Arryn, would winter in Gulltown rather than ride the Riverlands. But Ser Lyn Corbray had already marched with 300 knights for tourney at Maidenpool and could not be recalled. Jaime noted the detail. 300 hungry knights might find cause to change allegiance if coin or conviction offered. More urgent was Qyburn's private report. White Harbor, sacked, had lost 400 citizens to plague and pillage. Ironborn captains now forced northern fisherfolk into indenture, shipping them south in chain galleys to labor repairing King's Landing's battered docks. Each convoy risked ice floes and storms, but captains boasted the Northmen rode strong as bears. "The city rots," Jaime warned, recalling starving urchins he passed on his cane-assisted walks. "Bread prices double weekly. White Harbor grain would relieve." "Grain is for armies," Cersei cut in. "The city will endure." Jaime bit back retort. He saw Euron's grin, saw counselors flinch. Even Maester Warwick scribbled timidly rather than counsel mercy. Kinvara leaned against a pillar, watching dynastic calculus as a chemist watches reagents swirl. In Flea Bottom, winter nights pressed grime into every crevice. Rats squealed along gutters, gnawing on straw that once padded men's boots. Children fought gulls for garbage. Word spread that the Queen's new babe had mismatched eyes. Some whispered it proved the child was half demon. Others swore the eyes meant the prince saw double depth and future. When potboys repeated this to gold cloaks, the soldiers laughed and cuffed them, then looked upward uneasily, as though the infant might peer through slate and snow. One such potboy, stick-thin Joffrey, hair as black as soot, crept into Ragman's harbor each dusk, selling stringers of dead eels. He heard sailors speak of man-o'-war humming with wildfire ceramic shells, of captive Northmen roped to oars, of whispers that winter wolves marched behind King beyond the wall made flesh again in ice. Joffrey sold none of these rumors for coin. Instead, he pocketed them in memory until one night a hooded sellsword pressed a silver stag into his palm in exchange. The sellsword smelled of horse sweat and river mud. His smile was crooked but kind. He asked Joffrey to send messages tied to scrawny pigeons roosting under a ruined smithy, arch messages bearing code names: Lion's Hand, Dove, Longclaw. When Joffrey lowered hood to peer at the man's face, he recognized him from wanted sketches. The Sellsword Braun of the Blackwater. Thus, a secret channel sprouted beneath the Queen's very walls. Jaime received the first slip of parchment during dusk stroll along ramparts. North prepares. Wolves and falcons near Moat Cailin. Need gate. 5 words, no signature. Jaime burned it on his gauntlet, sparks winking away on wind. Euron's war councils grew longer. He meant to strike Storm's End, which lay weakened by winter fevers and lack of leadership. The castle's tall curtain walls perched on promontory above Wrathful Sea, but Euron's Kraken captains boasted they could scale damp stone by night using grapnel's pulleys. Qyburn argued for siege engines instead. Wildfire trebuchets could shatter bastions at range. Cersei mediated. Storm's End would be isolated first. The fleet would blockade Shipbreaker Bay, scuttle fishing boats, starve garrison. Meanwhile, a covert team of Qyburn's silent sisters would slip inside, undermine wells with toxin spores. Euron approved only after Cersei promised he could lead final assault in person. While they plotted, Kinvara and Qyburn engaged in midnight dialogue bordering on philosophical duel. She preached flame's cleansing. He extolled curiosity's savor, yet both adored experiment. Qyburn allowed her access to lower caverns where he kept the mountain's lesser kin, failed revivifications, muscle-knotted hulks lulled by milk of the poppy. Kinvara studied them, murmured prayers. Once she placed Ruby against a hulk's brow and it stirred, moaned, then fell still, leaving pendant hot as forge iron. Qyburn noted effect in ledgers. Ruby resonance amplifies necrospark potential. Cersei occasionally descended to observe. The air reeked of vinegar and rot, but here she glimpsed weapons no crown had wielded. Soldiers who could not die, powders that ignited on breath, crow's bread to carry wildfire eggs. The kingdom she envisioned for her son glittered in these horrors, untouchable by rebel blade or dragon flame. But there was still Jaime, and Jaime troubled her. He healed swiftly, regained sword practice with left arm compensating for missing right. He trained in remote yard at dawn, swirling blade with grim precision. When Cersei watched unseen, she recognized determination that once killed a king. Perhaps prophecy still demanded a Valonqar, little brother, to choke her. Yet each night when she nursed Rhaegar, she remembered Jaime's promise before the birth. She decided to keep him close, neither friend nor foe, until she chose. Across endless white wastes north of the wall, Tormund Giantsbane trudged through knee-high drifts beside a cloaked figure wearing black wolf pelt. The figure's eyes were gray, haunted. His breath steamed in frigid air. Ravens circled above. They had been following rumors of blue-eyed wights clustering at ruined castles. Each dawn they found another wildling village razed, corpses stiff beneath ice. The living moved south, herded by fear. The dead march faster, Tormund growled. Southlings will never believe until ice is at their gates. The wolf-cloaked man, Jon Snow, resurrected once and burdened since, nodded. Then we must ride past all gates. They planned to sail from Eastwatch, but ravens told of Iron Fleet blockades along eastern coast. And now Jon dreamed of strange eyes, one green, one black, leading an army of flame against night. He did not yet comprehend significance, only knew the dream tugged him southwards. Sansa Convin. Ed War Council in Winterfell's Great Hall. Hearth fires cracked, but warmth could not chase chill from stone. Lords Glover, Serwyn, and Mormont attended, as did Jon Roycefresh from Gulltown. They spread maps across Trestle. Reports of ironborn atrocities filled margins. Wolf hides pinned to masts, severed tongues mailed to White Harbor survivors. Sansa's face remained still, though inner well-boiled rage. "We march come first new moon," she declared. "Through Queen's Crown to the neck, then down the King's Road." "Road is swamped snow," argued Lord Serwyn. "Better wait thaw. Tari and southern wolves starve in irons," Sansa countered. "My brother died once to save this realm from night. I will not see it strangled by sea pests." Jon Royce stamped heavy boot. "The Knights of the Vale stand ready. 300 flew with Ser Lyn Corbray, but 500 remain. and we have grain enough for 6 months. Sansa inclined her head. Send 400 to escort supply wagons. We'll need them. Lady Lyanna Mormont, no longer small child but still fierce, thumped fist on table. 30 Bear Islanders will fight like 300 Southrons. Council concluded with vows sworn. Sansa retired to Godswood where snow blanketed branches. She knelt before Heart Tree and whispered to her dead parents, dead brothers, to Theon Greyjoy who once died saving her, to memory of Arya wandering still. The weirwood's carved face peered as if listening. She touched pale bark, felt hum like blood beneath. Wind moaned a single name, Rhaegar. She puzzled, thinking of the long-dead Targaryen prince. And elsewhere, far away, a babe opened mismatched eyes and cried. In King's Landing, winter's bite deepened. Cersei ordered construction of colossal grain silos inside Maegor's outer ward. Great barrels ringed with iron hoops, sealed with pitch. She commandeered sept warehouses to store salted fish. City folk grumbled but clung to hope the queen prepared for them. Yet many nights' bread still ran short, sparking torchlight clashes between gold cloaks and starving throngs outside Dragon Pit Gate. Jaime, wandering disguised beneath rough cloak, watched these skirmishes. He heard common talk, lion which hoards while our babes chew stones. Some cursed Euron by name, others cursed the gods. One toothless hag spat at mention of the child. Demon spawn, mark me, eyes that see sin. Wall will fall, heat and cold will mate and breed terrors. Jaime returned through postern stairs, heart heavy. In his chambers he found a folded note slipped under door. Demon's eyes need darkness to shine. Break the braziers. The hand resembled bronze scrawl. Jaime burned it but mind raced. Darkness to shine. Wildfire braziers? If sabotage triggered barrels, half the castle would turn to green hell. He resolved to inspect armories by moonlight. That very night he crept through tunnel network built by Maegor's cruel masons. Torches revealed cobwebs thick as curtains. He navigated by memory until he reached Qyburn's lower laboratory. Through cracked brick he peered. Shelves of glass spheres, viscous green sloshing within. Atop trestle table lay a prototype, iron raven fashioned with leather wings, hollow midsection for wildfire pod. Qyburn and Kinvara stood over it. Deliverance, Qyburn purred. Or damnation, Kinvara murmured. The line is thin, he agreed. Jaime retreated silently. He now understood Bronn's warning. If such ravens flew above battlefield, all armies would roast. If one crashed in city streets, thousands burn. He needed leverage, but how? He considered Sansa. If northern host approached, perhaps he could parley, trade intelligence for safe exile of the innocent. Yet Sister's wrath would be limitless. Storm's End blockade commenced. Winter seas heaved gray rollers tall as ramparts. Iron-borne longships rode them like gulls. One ate a wave and splintered. Her crew shrieked into foam. Euron stood on prow of silence, laughing each time mast groaned. On cliffs above, Storm's End keep rose lonely. Florent bannermen manned parapets now, but their banners hung limp in freezing spray. Cersei remained in King's Landing with Rhaegar, but she dreamed nightly of crushing the Baratheon relic. In her solar she paced, babe swaddled in sable sling, dictating letters to lords of Westerlands to muster fresh levies. The child rarely cried. Instead he watched with solemn mismatched gaze. Sometimes she thought she saw understanding flicker there, tiny brow furrowing at mention of armies. One afternoon, as she reviewed Qyburn's newest ballista, boasting double draw strength, a nursemaid bumped cradle. Rhaegar's eyes flashed, and every candle in chamber fluttered though no breeze stirred. Kinvara, present by chance, gasped pressed ruby. He feels the fire, she whispered. He will wield it. Cersei dismissed her, but heart thrummed. If Babe possessed sorceress affinity, dynasty might extend beyond thrones, into myth. She recalled tales of Targaryen infants who slept with hatchling dragons curled around limbs. Dragons extinct now, but wildfire served. She summoned Qyburn privately. "Study the boy," she ordered. Quietly,
No infusions.
Qyburn bowed. Observation only, your grace. Behavior, temperature, any sign of influence. Report to me alone. Jaime's clandestine examinations of city defenses revealed a weakness. Old brick culverts beneath Dragon Gate where the Blackwater sister streams once drained. Most had collapsed, but one remained open, hidden by rubble. He sketched crude map, dispatched via urchin to Bronn along with token. A small golden hand wrought by Cersei's jeweler, meant for Crib Mobile. Message, gate for wolves. The urchin returned with nothing but a half-stag. At least Bronn had read. Kinvara discovered Jaime leaving crypt corridor. Ser Lannister, she greeted, voice smoke. Her ruby shimmered. He gripped cane. Night stroll. In tunnels that lead nowhere? Everywhere leads somewhere. She smiled. Beware. Somewhere may circle back to truth you flee. Lion cannot outrun prophecy. He scowled. Your prophecies meddle with my family. I do not weave, only read. She stepped closer. Heat radiated. Yet threads tangle. There is one path where Lion's love ends in fire that saves thousands. Another path where choking hands end the queen. Which thread will you tug? Jaime Lannister. He said nothing. She slipped past, robes whispering.
Euron siege lengthenet.
Florent men shot barbs. Ironborn replied with crab pots of burning oil. Supplies dwindled on both sides. Storm's end wells fouled unexpectedly. Qyburn's fungal plague. On 28th day, Blue Dawn revealed castle banners lowered. Silence rode a dozen men ashore. They found inner gates open, defenders dead of fever or madness. Some walls bore crimson sigils. Fiery heart pierced by kraken tentacle. Painted in dried blood, Euron ascended battlements and pissed off parapet into surf. He ordered horns blown. Storm's End had fallen without a pitched battle. He crowned himself Lord of Shipbreaker Bay atop battered keep, smashing Baratheon stag statues with his axe. In courtyard he discovered legendary Sword Dawn, lost generations, now wielded by dying knight of House Dane who had sought shelter. Euron took it for his son, naming blade Nightfall. Ravens carried news south. King's Landing erupted in celebration again, but the populace's joy was dulled by hunger. Bread lines stretched blocks. When riot flared at Cobbler Square, gold cloaks rode in, killing 12. Jaime intervened, ordering withdrawal. Commander Marbrand obeyed grudgingly, later informing Cersei. She summoned Jaime. Undermining authority? She accused. Preventing massacre, he answered. Stronger rule prevents chaos. Fear is not rule, sister. He hesitated. Nor prophecy. Cersei's eyes chilled. You forget yourself. I remember too much, he whispered, voice cracking. Remember children you lost to blades and poisons. Do not lose this one to wildfire. Her hand twitched, as if reaching for dagger. Instead, she caressed Rhaegar's head, sleeping in cradle. Leave. He left, heart hammering. A fortnight later, Northern Vanguard breached the neck, aided by late Thaw and Corbray's knights hacking through drifts. They reached Moat Cailin to find gates open. Ironborn had abandoned, recalled to Storm's End. Sansa commanded march south along King's Road under blizzard skies. At White Knife Ford they met survivors from White Harbor, gaunt but resolute. Sansa held them, knelt, swore vengeance. Tears froze on cheeks. Word of northern host reached Casterly Rock before King's Landing. Lords Brax, Lefford, and Crakehall corresponded in cipher. Should Westerlands stay loyal to Queen whose policies starved peasants? Their letters found intercept by Qyburn's spy network. Cersei read them at dawn, fury mounting. She ordered arrest of Lord Brax's son, stationed as squire in Red Keep, as hostage. Jaime pleaded mercy. She refused. Within nursery, Qyburn observed Rhaegar daily. He measured weight, recorded frequency of mismatched eye blinking, left 19 times per minute, right 22. Noted infant's heat, 1 degree higher than average. Most remarkable. When candle held near, flame tilted toward child, as if drawn by tiny wind. On 12th observation, he placed wildfire droplet in copper saucer 3 feet from crib. The droplet trembled, flared bright briefly, then snuffed without spark. Qyburn wrote, "Subject dampens or absorbs subcombustion energies. Possible control mechanism." He told only Cersei. Kinvara sensed experiment. She confronted him in corridor, ruby blazing. "Play not with destiny. Destiny is a canvas," he replied. "Paint too boldly and canvas burns." They parted without accord. Bronn slipped into Wolfswood encampment where northern host bivouacked. He found Sansa beneath pine awning, quills scribbling letters by lamplight. Lords eyed Selsword warily, but she granted him audience. Bronn presented Jaime's map of Culvert plus intelligence, wildfire ravens, storms ends fall, grain shortages. "What price?" Sansa asked. "2 chests of gold dragons, ownership of Stokeworth, and pardon for murder of the man I'll kill next." She almost smiled. "Kill whom? Depends who needs killing." She considered, then extended gloved hand. "Deal. Deliver passage through Culvert, we pay." They shook. King's Landing prepared for Winter Festival of the Seven. Though Sept half-ruined, Cersei ordered lavish procession to show prosperity. Gold cloaks swept streets, executing pickpockets. Bakers forced to craft honeycakes shaped as krakens with lion manes. Euron returned from Storm's End with wagon trains of captured Florence, paraded them naked through markets, chaining them to spiked wheels round outside of Dragon Pit, warning to rebels. Small folk wept at cruelty. During Festival Eve, Jaime stood behind dais as Queen displayed infant to throngs before the broken September snowflakes drifted like parchment ashes. Bells tolled. Rhaegar did not cry. Instead, as trumpets blared, tiny hand rose, curled. Bells ceased mid-peal, clappers jammed, ropes tangled. Crowd gasped. Cersei stared at bell tower, awe mingled with fear. Kinvara whispered, "Fire sleeps inside him. Metal obeys." News spread. The prince silenced the Seven's bells. Superstition soared. Some hailed miracle, others cursed demon. Riots flared again by dusk. Gold cloaks bloodied 6 dozen. That night, Euron urged immediate coronation of Rhaegar as prince of the realm in haste. Cersei demurred. She wished proper ceremony come spring. Euron stomped, drank, eventually passed out. Cersei sought Jaime on Wall Walk. Snow-dusted battlements, muffled boots. She carried babe swaddled deep. "Look," she said, offering child. Jaime cradled nephew uncertainly. Rhaegar opened eyes. Green met gold, black met sorrow. Jaime shivered. "He has power," Cersei whispered, voice tremulous with pride and dread. "He silenced bells." "Or bells froze," Jaime offered. She shook head. "We must protect him." For first time, vulnerability cracked armor. "Brother, help me." Jaime felt old love surge. Always. But mind flickered to Culvert map now in northern hands. He swallowed. Far beneath, in ruined dungeons once home to dragon skulls, Bronn guided 3 northern scouts along slime-dark passage. Rats fled. Above, bells hung silent. Winter's heart arrived at last. A vast white maelstrom rolling south like living mountain. Villagers between Blackwater Rush and Wendwater vanished beneath drifts. Cersei closed city gates, forbade egress. Refugees camped outside walls, freezing. She ordered nightly wagon loads of stale bread pitched over ramparts, symbolic mercy as good as none. Within the Red Keep, tensions smoldered. Euron demanded War Council-approved strike on Old Town to seize Hightower's libraries and rumored Star Metal Vault. Cersei resisted. No ships to spare with blockade of Storm's End continuing. Euron smashed chalice, stalked away. That night he sought Kinvara in her sanctum, demanding glimpse of his son's future. Priestess rolled bones in dish of ash. Bones spelled shards. Sword, kraken, lion cub, burning tower. "Your throne holds but for Storm's calm," she warned.
Euron backhanded dish.
"Storm never calms." She met his fury with calm. Nor does sea appreciate leash. Ruby glowed. He left, unsettled, suspicious. Qyburn perfected wildfire raven prototypes. First tests launched from Rampart. sending iron birds beating clockwork wings over Blackwater. At predetermined height, wings locked, dropping ceramic egg that burst in water with emerald roar. Fish bob charred. Second test misfired. Raven veered into granary rooftop, igniting shingles. Firefighters doused quickly, but city smelled smoke for days. Jaime witnessed tests, confronted Qyburn. Madness. Progress, Qyburn answered. One raven could end a siege in heartbeat. At what cost? Always cost. Qyburn's eyes glittered. Better paid by enemies. Sansa's host crept closer, shielded by storms. Scouts wearing Greyjoy skins slipped past watchfires, cut throats of sentries, buried bodies in snow. Culvert entry within city remained unguarded. Jaime had manipulated patrol schedules. On moonless night, he walked parapet with Commander Marbrand, convincing him drunken guards sufficed. Guilt gnawed. Back in chambers, Jaime knelt before fire, holding Twins' letter written months ago. Lions do not kneel. He burned second half, not even to love. He muttered, "Forgive me." Next dawn, Joffrey the potboy delivered message. Mice enter pantry on first frost. Jaime's stomach churned. He kissed sword hilt, prepared. The breach came at deepest night. Culvert grate sawed away. Northern strike team crawled tunnels older than Aegon's Landing. Bronn led, dagger between teeth. Behind, Lady Lyanna Mormont carried Bearclaw axe half her size. Corbray knights followed. They emerged in wine cellar beneath Tower of the Hand. Bronn signaled hush, then guided them toward postern stair Jaime had described. Above, Euron snored drunken after revel. Cersei slept lightly, babe in cradle near bed. Kinvara meditated before brazier, ruby pulse steady with breathing. Jaime waited outside nursery. When Mormont edge-stepped onto corridor flagstones, he raised palm. "Stop!" Bronn stiffened. Knights hefted swords. Jaime whispered, "Do not harm the queen. Take the babe north." "Queen gets trial," Lyanna hissed. "Take her if you must, but child unharmed." Jaime's voice shook. "He is innocent." Bronn eyed him. "You're sure?" "He is my blood." Crash from far hall. The mountain discovering bodies. Time evaporated. Northern raiders surged. Jaime led them, surprising 2 Lannister guards, pommel-smashing skulls. They reached nursery doors. Jaime opened. Cersei woke instantly, eyes wide. She saw Bronn, saw knights, saw brother with sword unsheathed. Fury blazed. She snatched Rhaegar, pressed him to breast, backed against window. "Traitor!" Jaime stepped forward, unhelmed. "Come?" "Never." Her gaze fell to Bronn's drawn knife. Rage sharpened green. She screamed a word, Valyrian word she gleaned from Kinvara's mutterings. Candles erupted, flames spiraling into lengthened tongues that licked walls. Bronn cursed, shielding face. Knights recoiled. Rhaegar's eyes both lit like smoldering coals. Heat surged. Curtains ignited. Jaime felt beard singe. From hallway came mountain's thunderous steps. Bronn snarled, tossed wildfire smoke bomb he'd stolen from Qyburn. Green vapor filled room, confusing giant when he burst through door. Knights tugged cerulean cloaks over noses, advanced. Cersei clutched infant, eyes wild. "Back!" Jaime reached desperation. "Cersei, we will protect him." "You would steal him," she spat. "Valonqar indeed." She lunged to balcony rail, gale whipping snow. Below yawned courtyard sheer 60 feet. Jaime froze, memory of Bran's fall searing. Cersei balanced on ledge, babe in arms, gown billowing. "Don't!" he begged. She held mismatched-eyed infant high, voice breaking with resolve and despair. "No wolf, no kraken, no prophet shall take my son." Wind flung her hair around like burning gold. Mountain barged closer. Bronn slashed at giant's leg to distract. Sudden tremor rattled fortress. An explosion in distant wing as stray wildfire barrel ignited from spilled flame. Shockwave shivered stones. Balcony rail cracked. Jaime lunged but too late. Marble baluster gave. Cersei pitched backward into black void. Jaime screamed, raw primal. He dove, metal hand scrabbling rail. With flesh hand he caught silk of her gown as she fell. Fabric tore but slowed descent. Her free hand clawed air. Infant wailed. Jaime's chest slammed parapet. Rib cracked. He held. Bronn and knights seized back of his armor, forming human chain. Cersei dangled, fingers clasping babe. Snow gusts swirl. Heat tongues licked from window behind. "Give me the child!" Jaime yelled through tears and wind. Her eyes met his, terror, trust, love. Slowly she lifted Rhaegar toward him. He leaned, grasped swaddled bundle. As babe transferred, gown rent wholly, Cersei slipped an inch. Jaime's grip on her wrist held but slick blood from his earlier wound weakened. Below, courtyard filled with onlookers, guards, servants, Kinvara with ruby ablaze. They saw Queen dangling like marionette. "Hold!" Jaime roared at Bronn, who braced. Mountain lumbered forward, prepared to seize Jaime's waist. Lyanna Mormont hacked at giant calf again. Steel biting greaves. Mountain kicked, sending her sprawling. Cersei's voice drifted, ragged. "Keep him safe." "I swear," Jaime sobbed. Sirens of cracking stone crescendoed. Rail chunk tore free. Jaime lost footing, slid. Bronn anchored chain but boots skidded on icy tiles. For heartbeat weight of 3 adult bodies plus armor plus babe strained link. Then Mountain grabbed chain. His monstrous strength hauled all back to safety. Jaime toppled onto floor, still clutching child. Cersei tumbled over sill into Giant's arms as he kneeled, setting her gently on marble. Her face white, lips blue. She whispered something. Jaime could not hear through roar in ears. Kinvara burst inside, flames bending to her presence. She pressed Ruby to Queen's brow. Cersei's breath shallow. Jaime knelt, babe wailing. "He is safe," he said. Cersei's eyes fluttered. She smiled faintly, fingers brushing child's cheek. Then she turned to Jaime, mouth forming word, "Brother." Breath left on exhale like candle snuffed. Ruby dimmed. Kinvara closed Queen's lids, murmuring prayer. Silence tore room despite crackle of flames. Bronn stepped back, knuckles white. Knights stared horrified. Mountain loomed, sword dripping northern blood. Jaime wept, silent tears racing grime. He kissed sister's cooling brow. "I loved you," he whispered. Kinvara rose. "Prophecy ends, prophecy begins." She regarded infant. "Light lives." Mountain advanced on raiders but Jaime lifted hand. "Enough. Take them prisoner." Bronn raised brow but yielded swords. Knights dropped blades. Lyanna Mormont, bleeding, glared hate. Jaime stood, cradling future. Flames subsided as Kinvara doused with wildfire dampening sand. Smoke billowed to rafters. Outside, bells that had fallen silent resumed toll. First hesitant, then clamorous. City stirred to news of Queen's fall. Some would mourn, others cheer, but none could deny realm had changed with single crack of stone. Inside charred nursery, Jaime faced gathered figures. Qyburn arriving breathless, Warwick pale, Mountain lifeless mask. "Fetch Euron," Jaime ordered, voice hoarse. "Tell him his queen lies dead, his son lives." His eyes hardened. "And the Lion of Casterly Rock sits hand, no longer but regent until Prince of Lioncracken comes of age." Kinvara's ruby flared as if endorsing decree. Bronn muttered, "Seven save us." No one answered. Night seated to gray dawn shining through broken balcony. Snowflakes kissed corpse of Cersei Lannister Greyjoy, lay like white crown upon her hair. Somewhere below, a raven shrieked, wings scattering soot. And in Jaime's trembling arms, Rhaegar opened eyes, one green, one black, as if surveying fresh realm of grief and fire. Almost equals 5,300 words. Call again to continue weaving the next act when ready.